Hi everyone, it's Nicola Burton from The Music Reel. I'm from Music Means Business. We've got Manny from the Pushworth Group here with us, and a very special international guest. We have Aly Cook, who's from New Zealand. Now, Aly is a regular visitor to Australia as an artist. She's an artist, composer, publicist, and promoter, and she's still in lockdown over in New Zealand. So we thought we'd catch up with her today to see how life is treating her as a live artist, not gigging, and in lockdown in New Zealand. How are you, Aly?
Kia ora, tēnā koe. Hello from New Zealand. So yes, we've been in a very stiff lockdown, one of the stiffest lockdowns in the world, but it's paying off. So we went hard and we went early, and it looks like that's paying off. We've had a few days without any cases, or one or two cases, and we're coming down, and thankfully they're talking bubble, so we might get back over to see you again soon as they open the borders between the two countries.
Excellent. So now, when you say they hit it hard and they hit it fast, what was the difference between what New Zealand did and what Australia did?
Okay, so before we even had a death, we had a few cases here. They decided to hit hard and early, and so everything shut down. So basically the streets of Auckland were blank. You weren't allowed to go outside of your home for anything other than groceries or a doctor's appointment, which had to be in your car out the back or whatever, or by phone, or to go to chemists to get essential medicine. So everything, every bar, every restaurant, every takeaway, no takeaways, no nothing.
Wow, because we've had, when we walk around the city in the morning, there's building sites with builders, tradies. It's just chock-a-block in our lockdown.
Okay, so yeah, we've just had the change to that now. So we've moved from what's called alert level 4, which is full lockdown, to alert level 3. And that is where industry has gone back, but with social distancing, and the rest of us have to remain at home.
Wow.
So unless you are on your way to your job or on your way back from your job in industry, you're not to leave your property.
Wow.
So, but the upshot of that is that give it another week or so and we won't have a single case of COVID-19 in this country.
Wow.
So we've become the first country to wipe it out.
So actually that strategy has been quite effective.
We're doing the Bledisloe Cup of COVID-19 kill.
You are. Well, I know Manny was working with you earlier this year when you were touring Australia with GANGgajang. So Manny, what would you like to talk to Aly about?
I guess, in the first instance, when will the All Blacks reign come to an end, Aly? I know, no, I'm only kidding.
That's highly unlikely anytime.
No, it is highly unlikely, isn't it? I mean, the way that it's faring at the moment. But look, unfortunately, your cricket team, what can I say? Bad luck there.
It's a bit of a bummer, but hey.
That's it, but there's a wonderful rivalry, like in sporting terms. I guess it's really interesting. The shows that we booked for you were all great shows with GANGgajang. It was a great invitation from GANGgajang to introduce us, and we're looking forward to booking more tours for you, like here in Australia to support releases. And I guess, like in terms of a touring artist in New Zealand, you've had a taste of probably at a feature level here in Australia, and obviously touring with GANGgajang at some feature events and some feature venues. What's the difference, I guess, in touring in New Zealand, versus touring like in Australia? That's what I'd be curious about. Not that we've toured various acts throughout the ages across the ditch, so to speak. Yep. But I'd like to hear it firsthand from an artist.
Yeah. Okay. So first of all, the distances for starters. There's much more vast distance between travelling from one gig to another in Australia as opposed to New Zealand. So I guess that's in a negative in a way, but your gas prices are cheaper. So yes. that's helpful. But it's sort of quite interesting. I've played a lot up in like the Kimberley, Kununurra, out in Alice Springs, those kind of places, and they're further for me from Sydney than I am from Sydney. So the distance of New Zealand to Australia, and I guess that's something that I've paved the way in some ways for a lot of artists that have come in after me, is that I've lived in New Zealand, unusually a Kiwi that actually goes home, and I've managed to maintain a career coming back and forth. And I sort of always say it's just a movie and a coffee away to get there, you know.
That's true.
In New Zealand, we don't have the large community radio base that Australia's got. So that, I think, you know, I guess we're smaller, you know, it's 20 odd million versus 5 million. So there's less media anyway. So with touring, there's maybe not as much individual media in each town. Like you go to a town in Australia, you've got the commercial station there, you've got the ABC station there, and then you've got the community station. We don't have that. So it's a bit harder, in fact.
Right. So everyone listen to that. How lucky we are in Australia when it comes to publicity and media, that we've got far more resources and avenues and mediums available than they do across the ditch in New Zealand. I didn't realize that, Aly.
We don't have that community network, and I really value that Australian community network. Even though there may be less people listening to those little stations, when you add them all up, there are actually a lot of people, and they're much easier for an independent artist to access, get their music on, get an interview on, than perhaps a commercial or an ABC is always a little bit trickier, you know, it's always a bit more sought after, so it's harder to get on.
Wow, you make it look easy, and it's good for artists to hear this, because as we've been talking in all of our podcasts, it's all about being independent, building your music brand, and you know, you're not dependent on a label anymore. So it's really good to hear Aly say that. Now, Aly, I know you've been doing some lectures lately about crowdfunding for the music industry.
Yes, I have done that today actually with Auckland University, or Main's up there,
Okay, great. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Okay, so I've always been in both sides of the industry, right? So I was a late starter. I mean, I started in the other side of the industry for the promotions side of it with Kevin and O'Neill and Associates writing posters in 1985 or 86 or something. So I kind of got into the industry of that side of it to learn, because I thought I need to know these things to be able to release my music. And then I got caught up. And so I got caught up in working in that side, but I kept writing songs and kept my kind of hand in. And then I decided at 47 years of age that I would release my debut album. And I thought, how am I going to get the money? I know all the know-how. I can get myself on the radio. I can get myself on the TV. I can do all those things because I do them for other people and they pay me to do it. And I was the 5th person, I think, in New Zealand to crowdfund an album. So I did this one here. I raised 20,000 US from 258 people from 17 countries, and it took me 3.5 weeks to do it. So that was in the real heyday of crowdfunding. So I had 20,000 US, went out and got myself a great producer and produced my debut album. And then the second one, I went through a European website and I raised 18,000 euro, which gave me enough to record and release that album and make a video clip, same with the other one. And then this one here came about from meeting Buzz, and I still raised, without using a platform, through my own website, 12,000 Australian, and then went into partnership with SBD Music, Dave Buzz and Sebastian Chase, who has MGM. And so I did a joint venture and then used my 12,000 to produce and promote. So so I've crowdfunded 3 albums now, and about 4 music videos and a tour to the UK.
Right, so it can be done, everyone. And if you want to know any more information, like Aly, I'll put all of Aly's links in, because seriously, if she can do that, it's possible. And you know, but you have to understand your music brand and your target market, don't you?
Yeah, and also what I found was, and I found it really on the first album, was that it wasn't just about the money. It was the other things that happened. I met these people on the net. I ended up with 2 festivals in Europe. I ended up in a magazine over in England. I ended up on radio stations across the globe from people who were connected, who'd funded my album, and then they felt like they were part of that album, so they wanted to help me.
Right.
And it was just exchange of they gave me $25 in advance to make an album, or they might have given me a bit more or whatever, and then they decided, you know, oh, I've got that friend that's a DJ, or oh, I know that guy that runs a festival, I should get her on that bill. And so it was more than the money. It was the community that built around each album,
Right.
that has helped me do some amazing things.
So
Yeah,
you've
absolutely
built
brilliant.
your own music community, and that's
Yeah.
critical in the survival of your music brand. Wow, Aly, what a great story.
Yeah, you're
Wow.
not reliant on any major labels.
No.
You're not reliant. It's
Love
all
it.
about your own intellectual sensibility,
Yes.
how you connect with people, and it's
Yep.
an independent. It's another independent model that you can use to build a musical career, which is absolutely brilliant, Aly. That's a wonderful insight. Absolutely brilliant.
And the thing is that they're super fans. When you think, it's quite funny, like in my small way, say that one that was 254 people for 20,000 US raised. And from that, I did a European tour and got a couple of festivals and magazines and all that sort of thing. It's a super group of fans. So it's smaller, but then,
Yes.
you know, like celebrity is one person at a distance from hundreds of thousands of people. Whereas a small super group and the internet, you've kind of got this exchange of I help you, you know, you help me and I provide you with the music. It doesn't need to be very big to actually allow you to continue with your career and allow you to continue to record. It
Beautiful.
doesn't have to be a big group. It only has to be a small group. And
Yeah.
that's something that I was talking to students to this morning, is that one super fan that will back you for 3 albums and come to the gig wherever you are that's closest to them, they are worth more than 400 likes who couldn't give a toss. You're better with the one person who actually, you know, so think about it as one fan at a time. I would rather have 1,000 super fans than 20,000 likes that look good, but they're not active fans. And
Yes.
Absolutely.
even with established artists, like I work with Sharon O'Neill quite a lot, and she has quite a small social media thing because she's an ex-major artist, obviously, and has been big in her time. And so she's only got 3,000 fans on her page, likes. But I sold 2 entire concerts in New Zealand in 48 hours by putting it on her Facebook page.
Wow.
All 3,000 of them worship the ground she walks on.
Yes.
And we had people who were turning up to the bar from Australia, all over Australia, and putting their bags behind the bar. And they'd never been to, they got on a plane and they'd come because she only ever sort of does the 1 or 2 things where she does those group shows, you know, where she does a couple of hits.
Yeah.
But she hadn't done a whole complete 75-minute show in 30 years. But a very powerful fan base that showed me that somebody with 3,000 likes that adore them is a really powerful thing if there are 3,000 people that actually would jump on a plane to go see you anywhere.
Wow. So the whole concept of the super fan is something that we'll be talking along about, you know, in future posts. I think that's so important.
Very important.
And one thing I do want to say to you, Aly, you wrote this song with Kay and Buzz Bidstrip called We Hold Up Half the Sky.
Yes.
It is one of the best songs. I can't get it out of my head. And can you tell us a little bit about that? Because I think that's quite a significant song.
Yeah, so We Hold Up Half the Sky is like women lifting up the world. And I mean, that's it. I'm quite a strong woman figure. And Kay originally started writing the song from watching, I think she watched a documentary and it was about women in the world, and you know, it's a woman empowerment song. And I mean, I had one of those on my first album with Country Storm too. I'm kind of into that. I think that women will, you know, save the planet. Oh, look at our Prime Minister, what a gal. I mean, you know, it's sort of like it's that whole thing of empowerment. And it doesn't matter whether you're a woman on a dirt floor with a baby or you're a woman in a cafe in New York. You've all got a role to play.
That's right.
Being part of lifting the world up, and that's what that song's about. And it's my personal favourite song off my own album.
Oh, look, I agree with you. It's a great song. I'll actually put the link into this post for everyone, because I think, you know, we've had, you know, Time's Up, we've had Me Too movement, and this is a great song for anyone who's been involved in those movements. Just, you know, and I know this is aside from what we're talking about, but it's a great song. Now, finally, one question for you, the most important question. If you could time travel back to December, what message would you give yourself?
Oh, that's an interesting one. If I could time back to December, just to value everything that's around you. And I think that's the one thing that has amazed me. Where I am here, I'm rural, and the whole country came to a stop. And I just got up. I started sleeping with, you know, biorhythms, getting up as the sun splashed into my room and trying to go to bed as it went dark. And I was getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I really realised how much background noise we live with. Like, there was none. And all of a sudden, all the native birds were just coming in closer and closer to the house and the farm, and there was no road noise, nothing.
Lovely.
I looked up in the sky, and the sky had turned to a blue like I've never seen it, with no jets going over from Christchurch to Wellington or from Wellington to Sydney, which goes, that's how I tell what time it is. I go, there's the 4:15 to Sydney, like, you know, sort of like, and just nothing, and nature. And it's been happening everywhere. There's been kangaroos around Australia just bouncing into parts of town they're not, and goats in Scotland, and the monkeys in Thailand of going rampant because there's no tourists to feed them. And the other day I saw a flock of dugong, which are like those sea mammals that were right in by a Thailand beach that are endangered, that have never been seen, and they're there feeding. And in Venice, you know, dolphins coming up the canals. I mean, we have to appreciate the earth, and if one thing it's taught me is how much the earth needs a break.
Yeah.
And so in some ways, as dreadful as it's been for business and as dreadful as it's been for all of us, I think nature's had the biggest break, and that's been a positive out of it. So
great answer.
Appreciating what it's made me appreciate what we have. And
how wonderful.
Aly, appreciated that more.
It's been so good to talk to you, and in particular talking everyone about crowdfunding and about the superfan.
Yeah.
That's such an important thing as a live music brand to really think about. Watch this video a few times with Aly, and I'll put her contact details in, because there's so much more for us to learn. And Aly, it's been a pleasure. Take care, and we'll see you when you come back to Australia.
Yeah, I miss
you, Aly.
Yeah. See you soon.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.